Welcome. We're David and Hillary, and this is our movie preview of the movie The Last Supper. The Last Supper was released on March 14th, 2025. It's rated PG-13 for violent content, some bloody images, and suicide. It has a runtime of about 1 hour, 54 minutes. The Last Supper is a portrayal of the events leading up to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
It does include a small portion of what happens after the crucifixion and resurrection, but it focuses especially on the Last Supper that Jesus shares with his disciples.
Yep, and it also compares and contrasts the choices of Simon Peter with those of Judas Iscariot and the consequences of those choices. So, where to start?
Well, we heard that this was a really good movie, and we were excited to see it. We always want to support good Christian content when we can.
Right. And we've just been agonizing before we pressed record about, it's tough to say, but we just didn't think that this was all that well done.
To be fair, we're big fans of The Chosen. I think we're a little spoiled. The writing, the directing, the acting, the sets, the cinematography.
Right.
You know, I remember the first time you saw The Chosen, you were, you've never been a fan of Christian media because you're very particular, and historically it has not been well done. Has not had the budgets.
Unfortunately.
It has not had the budget that other media has had. And when The Chosen came along and you loved it, I thought, oh, okay, we've got something here. Just passed the David test.
Yeah.
So we are a little spoiled by that.
Yeah. And we don't expect anything to be perfect, but The Chosen has set the bar pretty high.
Yeah.
Higher than it was for Christian productions, and especially anything that is trying to portray stories from the Bible accurately from that time. And this just felt like it was a couple steps backward from that. I mean, again, I kind of hate to say it, but the bar is higher now, and you just can't ignore that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know one of the things that really stood out to me was the storytelling, meaning just if you're taking a story based on the Bible and you're trying to tell what we as Christians would consider to be true facts, you know, you want to get them right, but you also could craft that story in a lot of different ways. You could write a lot of different scripts that would be pretty authentic, but they wouldn't all be exactly the same. You have actors that are trying to portray it. You have a director who's trying to fashion the story. You have I don't know if I already said script, but all the things, they're all there. Your job as a movie maker is to tell a cohesive story in a compelling way that's true to the source and makes a good point and holds the audience's interest. And one of the things that really stood out to me in The Last Supper was it just felt a little disjointed. It kind of felt like they threw it together. It felt like a lot of church plays I've seen with a slightly bigger budget. That's, again, I'm just trying to be honest. I don't mean when I say church play with a little bigger budget, that's not a compliment.
Yeah, no spoilers here, but if you want to know more about why we didn't love it, you can check out our post view of this movie, and we'll have more information, but we'll also have the spoilers that go along with that. So.
Yeah. If you do choose to see it, here are some content warnings. Those are the other things that we always try to include in our movie previews. So no sex or nudity, aside from the fact that there is one pretty short scene where Jesus is on the cross. He does have a loincloth on.
For violence, there's some violence and some blood. I mean, this is the crucifixion, but as well within the PG-13 framework. It's not for small children.
Yeah, and as far as language goes, there's no swearing. Another thing that we always try to do in our previews is to say who's going to see it, who's going to want to see it, and who's not going to want to see it. And so I just realized I'm going to circle back to that in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I hate to criticize it and even talk about who's not going to want to see it, but the bar is just higher now. And there's a lot more Christian content out there, and it's being better and better done. You know, PureFlix and Angel Studios. I mean, there's a lot of players in this market that are doing better stuff. And we've kind of gotten past the point of saying, oh, bless their hearts, they tried. We're glad somebody made a Christian movie. There's too much content that's too well made to get away with that at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I probably still always say that, but that's just the mom in me. And honestly, I am grateful that people are attempting Christian media.
Yeah,
I want
for
more
sure.
of that.
For sure.
But like you said, we've probably gotten a little spoiled, and so we're just, the bar is higher.
We heard from a source we thought was reputable that it was going to be really good, and maybe that jaded us a little because our expectations were too high.
I would love for people to see it and then tell us what they think. Maybe they think we're off base. Maybe they loved it.
Well, I'm going to circle back to who's going to want to see it and who's not going to want to see it. If you don't see a lot of Christian content in theaters and you want to support the effort, then go see it by all means. In our post view, we'll talk a little more. There were a couple things we didn't think followed scripture perfectly, but it was certainly not heretical. It was basically true to the Bible. And so we're not saying that. In terms of who's not going to want to see it, if you want to support Christian content, but are just only going to go to so many things in the theater for financial reasons or time constraints or whatever, I really hate to say this while reviewing something else, but honestly and truly, the best thing I can tell you is save your money and in a couple of weeks, go and support The Chosen Season 5, which this season is also about Holy Week, kind of some of the same events that are in the movie The Last Supper. We haven't, we're not at a point in our movie reviews where people are sending us advanced copies. That would be nice. We haven't seen The Chosen Season 5 yet, but we have seen seasons 1 through 4. And if that's any indication, I think that's as far as who does and doesn't want to see this movie. If you're only going to go see one, then go see season 5, which will be divided up into three groups if you're not familiar. But anyway, thank you for your time and attention. I gave The Last Supper an 84 out of 100, which is a B. I just, it wasn't terrible, but the bar for Christian media is higher than that now. That's really all I can say. Thank you for your time and your attention. We're David and Hillary.
The movie was The Last Supper, and that's our preview.